All right, so what do these two by-elections mean for the ODM party and also for the Jubilee party, owing to the fact that in Bonchari constituency, Jubilee will be fielding a candidate, ODM will be fielding a candidate. There's no more, that say of the handshake candidate. So let me bring in Gabriel Muthuma, political analyst, joining us virtually. Mr. Muthuma, thank you so much for joining us here on KTN News Center. Not a new face here on News Center. But then, Muthuma, let's begin first with that ruling that was made last week on Thursday by the 5-judge bench saying that IEBC lacks quorum. So any decision they made when it comes to that BBI is null and void. Does this also apply, sorry for that, does this apply also to the by-elections? Because that has been a worry for the IEBC, and they've also gone to the court seeking for a stay order.
Well, thank you and good morning. I've not gotten my hand around that really that judgment by the 5 judges, and this in particular with IBC. Forget the BBI. And this in particular with IBC. IBC have already conducted several by-elections, and they have actually, gotten into the books, and members have already started serving. So I think on that one, we need somebody with a serious legal advantage. But so far, as far as I'm concerned, IBC has actually been able to do their work, and they say they are ready. And, they, time and time again, we know for sure what they've done has actually stuck into law. I mean, you have members of parliament who are serving already in Bunge. You have MCAs who are already serving in county assemblies. Are you telling me that this is a high time that that the courts are realizing that there has been an illegality? So on that one, I think, as soon as we get our hands around it, I think we may, find the legalese around it. But as of now, I can guarantee you that IEBC have done nothing wrong, and they've been able to calm down and be able to do their work and produce that which Mwananchi has actually demanded. You've seen what happened in Sambweni, you've seen in Kibra, and now we are heading into Bonchari and Juja. So I think on the IEBC issue, I wouldn't agree much that they have actually not been considered legal, unless you're talking about the commissioners. And the commissioners, come in for a different matter altogether. But the way IEBC is constituted now to run the elections, I think they are well represented.
All right, Muthuma, the reason as to why I was asking you about, the IEBC in terms of conducting by-elections in connection to the court ruling, because this is what the IEBC lawyer is actually telling the court, and is, while pleading with the High Court judges to suspend their finding on the IEBC's quorum for at least 14 days. The IEBC lawyer, Eric Gumbo, argued that, this is his argument as he's asking for the stay orders from the 5 judges, argued that the electoral agency was handicapped and that the by-elections in Bonchari and Juja constituencies may not happen this week as from tomorrow, and he's basing his argument on that ruling of lack of quorum when it comes to the commissioners. Then it begs the question, what happens to previous by-elections that IEBC has held? And what would happen if IEBC goes ahead to conduct the 2 by-elections in the 2 constituencies? Will it be challenged at the High Court?
I don't know whether anybody will challenge it. My question is, apart from what they've done historically in the few by-elections that we've had, when you're talking about not legally constituted, are you bringing in the commissioner into this play? And we know when it comes really to the nitty-gritty, they are really not that much involved. The commissioners know. More what we see running the election is a secretariat. And the secretariat, to me, is quite in order. So unless, like I told you, unless we go into the deep legalese of it, we may understand it. But as of now, the elections that they've conducted, you have people who are serving already and making laws. What will you say about the laws that they've made? What will you say about some of the positions that they've taken, that they have been illegal? Then, I mean, you've just been sitting somewhere on the sidelines just to watch, as IEBC, decapitates itself. So on this one, I think even though the lawyer is saying that the elections may not happen, I think we are looking at a different matter altogether. And we are basing it probably on the commissioners of IEBC, which is true. They've not been constituted properly. But then again, do not forget what the law says about the IEBC itself, where the quorum is. Is a quorum everybody? No. There is a limit as to who constitutes to a quorum, and it's not everybody. Can the quorum be 3? If that be the case, we are good.
All right. So Muthuma, is this a litmus test, the 2 by-elections, for, for the ODM party in terms of having that stronghold in Bonchari constituency and also the Jubilee?
Both ODM and Jubilee must actually ban the midnight oil to ensure that they retain these seats, failure to which will have another Msambweni, and they don't want to go that way. Almost a year and a few months removed to a general election, you really need to show people that you still have the same momentum and the same power that you started out with. The fact of the matter remains, you saw the 3 days ago when Governor Ongwai came out and really castigated, both ODM and UDA came out to castigate the fact that there was an element of statecraft. 50 policemen or so, we are told. We have not confirmed. We've not confirmed whether it was 50 really, but we are told there are policemen who actually, illegally or trespassed into Ongwai's home, and there was skirmishes, or so we are told, and it didn't augur well. It didn't go down with ODM. To me, I'm trying to wonder: are we going to see any of this repeat itself this week? And I hope we do not see such a picture, because these are some of the things that keep the voter away. When you come to Bonchari, this is a very serious. This is a seat that ODM must ensure that they continue to hold. And when it comes to Juja, at this point, Jubilee should not lose any other seat. Mainly to the parties who now appear to be the new kid on the block, and they've really done quite a lot to endear themselves with the voter. So, as you've put it, this is actually a serious litmus test of whether these parties have been able to do their job in ensuring that they ensure that their status quo, as far as their party memberships, are retained.
All right, but then Muthuma, then it begs the question, how come for these 2 by-elections, there is no talk, the political talk of the handshake candidate, and like what we saw in Msambweni, what we saw in the Kibra by-election?
Well, for 2 reasons. For 2 reasons. You are afraid that you can come in with the handshake, all right? But at this point, the region of Kisii, who will be the handshake? You're looking to, you see ODM is already on the ground. UDA, and I think this is the part, forget Jubilee, UDA are the people who, appear to really push ODM into getting or retaining this seat. So there is something that you may look a little bit deeper into. And this is what happened in Matungu, the by-elections. ODM ended up losing. And I think there is still that issue between NASA brigades with ODM, that they may not be invited, or they don't want to come into those regions, as they did in the senatorial by-election in Machakos.
Right.
So it is actually quite calculated that they don't want to be in there. And by the way, I think, and this is my own view, that NASA, the Watengula and the Musalia Brigade and the Kalonzo Brigade would be very happy if ODM would lose this Kisii seat, because they would say, hey, listen, they are not only new kids in the block, but if you had involved us, you kicked us out, a part of the NASA Brigade, we would have been able to help you on this. But since you kicked us out, hey, beba msalaba yako. They would actually be happy if ODM lost this. But then, on Jubilee in Juja, this is quite hefty. This is quite hefty because it is the background of the president. And, the greater Kiambuko. Going to PDP would be a huge blow.
All right. But Muthuma, would it be easy for the DP to make inroads in both Juja and Bonchari constituencies? Because already, if I may use this word, allow me to, they're already crying foul in terms of, being given a level playing ground politically, even in terms of political campaigns. They're saying their own are being intimidated. They cannot campaign in an easy, transparent manner.
Well, COVID notwithstanding, I think you remember the rallies were actually cancelled. There was a caveat put on political rallies. And I think every person who you ask will tell you, you know, it's not only Jubilee or ODM, or every person you ask will tell you that actually hindered probably their campaign strategy. But all is not lost, because you still have people who, you know, the people who know how to go in machinani, the people who go door to door. So I believe the campaigns have been ongoing. What we've not seen is these big rallies, and probably, you never know, probably the deputy president would have showed up. Probably the president would have showed up. Probably the party leader of ODM would have showed up in Kisii. But for now, I think they've allowed their foot soldiers to go deep into machinani, to go into the, you know, into small town hall meetings and try to convince people. Because let's face it, these two seats are actually very important for these two parties. The last thing you want to do is lose them to newcomers, because if you will take, it will take a serious hit on them, because it will tell you these new kids on the block, they are really getting their act together.
All right. But does it mean, Muthuma, that because the UDA party is associated with the deputy president, so does it mean that the deputy president is not, doesn't have confidence with his own foot soldiers in these constituencies, the UDA foot soldiers? Because we are seeing, you know, the DP's strong allies from other constituencies, from other counties, coming into other counties, other constituencies, campaigning for their own candidates. And this is something that has actually raised a lot of eyebrows. We are seeing right now in Bonchari constituencies. It also raised a lot of eyebrows in Sambweni by-election, in Kibra by-election, and also in Matungu by-election.
I think there was a call made by the deputy president over the weekend, and I think it's one of I don't know, like the Rural Reward in Nyandarua, where he was able to speak with the people and he was urging them to support the UDA candidate. But more than that, I think what I've just explained to you, the fact that he cannot go out now and campaign like he did before, it does not mean that he has no faith with his people, or the people who are leading the UDA. In Machakos, we never saw him. Primarily because I still believe, deep down constitutionally, he is still in Jubilee. Mm-hmm. And UDA, as far as, you know, as far as politics of the day are concerned, they are saying they are part and parcel of Jubilee. But even though we know there's a little twist in there, I won't say that the deputy president has got no, you know, faith in the people who are running the show. Remember, these two people in Bonchari, as we speak right now, ODM and UDA are the two parties that seem to lead in that by-election. Whoever comes.
All right. We've been talking to Gabriel Muthuma, political analyst, talking to us live from Mombasa technologically. So we experienced a bit of some technology hitches from his side during this virtual interview. Muthuma, before we lost you, you were explaining to us about looks like a tight horse race between the UDA party and the ODM party.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. And the fact that you are seeing a lot of heated conversations. The fact that over the weekend, you had both ODM and UDA come and issue statements against the police brutality, or what they are calling, the entrance into Governor Ongwai's home. It just tells you this is quite a hit. People are really strategizing and people are really scheming to win this seat because it carries a lot of weight. If it goes otherwise for ODM and Jubilee in Juja, it's going to be a serious hit. It's going to be a serious hit.
Right. So are we likely to see the outcome of today be a replica of what might happen in 2022 in terms of political realignments, and who will carry the day within these constituencies?
Well, as of now, you could kind of bet 50-50, but I told you, depending on how BBI goes, that is when true serious shifts will emerge. At this point, we can say the transfer window is still open. But right after BBI, and I think sometime around August, September, that is where major shifts are going to start appearing, because immediately many people will have known which party they want to be identified with. So at this point, probably people are just sitting loose and saying, which, you know, they really want to see where they will comfortably be able to come in. But that does not signify that UDA and other smaller parties like the One Kenya Alliance, that don't mean that they do not have their finger on the pulse. No, they are also strategizing. Nobody is sleeping at this point. Any self-respecting leader now is actually focusing and putting so much attention into 2022 and the numbers that they can amount to support them in both Parliament and the Senate. So yes, it will be at this point, it's too early. But as we move along towards August, September, October there, you'll see some serious alignment, serious shifts. And honestly, you can expect friends to be foes and foes to be friends. Never cut anything out.
In fact, Muthuma, talking about we'd like to see friends becoming foes and foes becoming friends, it brings in the name of a CS, a prominent CS who's been mentioned very, very frequently of late when it comes to this Bonchari by-election, like his input into this by-election.
Yeah, well, I was there on the ground and I had the very same thing. So, you know, you are not just carrying a rumor. And the fact of the matter remains, there are some people who are saying that persona wants to become a governor either in Kisii and or Nyamira. But so many people have told me, no, it cannot be Kisii. It's Nyamira. But that, you know, that's Kisii politics. So you do not know which county he will go to if that does happen. But again, you see, as a civil servant, you are waiting for that period. And that will be what we really shall be looking at. There are so many civil servants at this point who will now start, you know, unwinding from their duties. CSS will also start doing, because you are time bound. There is coming a time where you must actually bring forth your agenda, whether you want to go for that higher office or whether you go for a political office. And as such, you must actually resign. So that is something else that we are looking deep into. Who takes the passport? Who takes the passport? Who will it be? So as much as that prominent CS is being mentioned, there is actually state rumor that he may be looking for one of the gubernatorial seats in that particular region.
All right. And, you know, talking about who carry the day, let's shift our focus to the Juja parliamentary by-election that's also supposed to happen tomorrow. At the same time, you know, that for Bonchari will be happening tomorrow. Are we likely to see a bit of some voter sympathy? Because we are seeing the wife of the late member of parliament being at the forefront in terms of carrying the Jubilee flag. How are people how will that influence, you know, the voting exercise, the voting process of Juja constituency, the fact that we have a wife of the late MP vying for this seat? And that we've seen in several other by-elections, you know, spouses to the late being, you know, elected.
Not only spouses, family members. So there was no election in Garissa. You know, the late Haji's son, you know, was able. It was a communal agreement, and you know, democracy was negotiated, and he got it. In Juja, it has actually, you know, come full circle with other areas, as you've rightly put it, that we've seen spouses or family members coming in to take over the seat once their departed has left the seat. So there is some element of push by people in Juja. I was also there, and they are saying, you know what, that we cannot allow that kind of situation, political situation, to be the norm. We must allow democracies to enrich itself. You saw what's happened in Kibra. It's almost the same thing, where the late member of parliament for Kibra, his brother came in and was able to take that seat as well. So people in Juja are saying, you know what, we should not allow that to be our democratic norm. And as such, can that actually attract sympathy votes? I believe to an extent it can. But also, are people really disconnected, as we are told, with the current ruling party there because of all the skirmishes that have gone on? You've had the PEP, I think is the man driving it, Moses Kuria, has been out there just, you know, chastising the state, saying they are really harassing his candidate. Whether you're looking at it from the neck side of things, whether you're looking at it from the machinani side of things, the man has been harassed. And probably that may also give him some element of sympathy. But at the end of the day, Jubilee must burn the midnight oil. They must bring out all their horses to run in this race. And guess what? If it does not go their way, they'll take a very big hit coming towards 2022.
And as we end up this conversation, Muthuma, what will it take the deputy president, the UDA party that's affiliated to the deputy president, to win these 2 by-elections and also other pending by-elections that are supposed to be happening? Because you're not only talking about Bonchari and Juja, also have the mini poll, by-election, one that's supposed to happen tomorrow also at Ruri, if I'm not wrong, a ward by-election. So what will it take the DP, the UDA party, to win these by-elections?
Well, more than anything, I think he's quite a charismatic politician. He's been able to more or less guess some political fortunes, and he's gotten them, like the London ward. Whether you want to associate his win with Msambweni, which was a very big deal, or some of the few other Gaturi in Moranga, whether you want to associate him with those wins, I think he's kind of really been able to point, and I don't want to say he's gotten lucky, but I think he's been able to strategically maneuver for the better part of the by-elections that we've had. Yes, he's lost some, but on this one, I think he's put his stakes in, mainly in Bonchari, and also really in Juja, because I think the person who is going to Juja is just up front. So if he is able to make a mark, then I think he's going to really cement the feeling to the Mwananchi that, this actually is a serious party, is a formidable party to be reckoned with. This is not just a one-time shop that won a by-election somewhere. It will tell them, what, I know what is on the ground, and I'm also able to really fight with the big boys and emerge the winner. So I think for him, this is also quite a litmus test for him to prove that, I can hold my ground. So I told you, and I repeat it again, these 2 seats are quite hefty.
All right. Muthuma, asante sana. Always a pleasure talking to you, just speaking your mind in terms of political issues in this country. So as you've had it tomorrow, we wait and see who will carry the day. Is it the UDA party, the ODM party, or the Jubilee party? And 2 litmus tests will be happening tomorrow in Juja and Bonchari constituencies. Not only we having those 2 main by-elections, that we also have a mini poll by-election will be happening at the Ruri ward tomorrow. So here on KTN News, we definitely promise you an in-depth coverage of these 3 by-elections, only the best way that we can. And as usual, what we give you in terms of news making the headlines. So another short commercial break. I'll be right back with more news making the headlines as we reach the final stretch of News Center.